Hello everyone, how are you doing today? It's Makeda Valletta, also known as the Body Scientist. And in case you're unfamiliar with me, I have a background in exercise and sports science and nutrition science. I have an extensive background in the biological sciences. I started off first in undergrad as a biotechnology major, very interested in finding cures for genetic diseases. And cancer is a genetic disease. And also infectious organisms is something that I'm really into, that I've been into since the 90s. Viruses and bacteria and microbes and that whole world. And if you follow me, you hear me talk about that a lot. So I started off, as a biotechnology major for 2 years and switched to exercise and sports science and nutrition science. So I've taken a lot of organic chemistries and microbiologies and biochemistry several times. And then I went to a graduate program for applied physiology and nutrition. And I just completed a master's last year in medical cannabis science and therapeutics, okay? So I'm like a nerd about the function of the body and optimal function of the body, and I'm very much committed to restoring balance in the body. I'm very anti-pharmaceutical. Not to say that I wouldn't use it if, like, God forbid, I fell out of a window or got in a car accident and needed emergency medicine, but I would not continue to take those meds, okay? Antibiotics, pain meds, stuff like that. So I'm really not a huge fan of that. So a lot of people have been asking me about thoughts about Ananda Lewis, and I've been wanting to talk about this, right? And I'm going to do a general talk here, and I'm going to go more in depth in my subscriptions on Instagram, and I'm going to create a Patreon page. I used to have an OnlyFans page for this body scientist content to go more in depth. But I'm going to put it on Patreon, and in my subscriptions on Instagram. But some people aren't on Instagram. So anyhow, let me get to the meat of the conversation. So I think all of us know by now that the MTV VJ, who is loved by many, Ananda Lewis, passed away last week from breast cancer. And I first found out about this diagnosis, it might have been like last summer, right? I remember when I found out, I was listening to every video I could find on YouTube about what she was talking about. And there's a few things that I thought, like, okay, so for one, she was against mammograms, right? And a lot of people, I saw a video that a doctor made shaming her, saying, oh, she didn't want to get mammograms, she didn't want to do traditional treatment that could have saved her life. And so they just, downplay doing things naturally. Oh, it doesn't work. But there's a few things I want to say. Number one, plenty of people get cancer treatment and die, okay? Plenty of people get chemo and radiation and go the traditional route and die. Because to be honest, the traditional route of treating cancer causes cancer, okay? If you don't believe me, go look it up, okay? Chemo and radiation actually cause cancer. Mammograms actually cause cancer and spread cancer, okay? You're exposing your breast tissue to radiation and you're smashing it down. So if you already have, like, if somebody has a tumor, and if somebody has a tumor and it's poked and prodded, that's how it spreads, okay? So if you already had a breast tumor or something and you get a mammogram and it smashed your breast down, that's going to cause that cancer to spread. When they do biopsies can cause the cancer to spread, okay? So Ananda Lewis had a mother who died of breast cancer. Her mother got the mammograms every year, and her mother ended up with breast cancer. Ananda Lewis did some research, and she saw, because there are many books that have been written by medical doctors about the dangers of mammograms. There are a lot of female doctors who do not get them, okay? And on YouTube, I will post a series of videos on my YouTube. Under this video, when I repost it to YouTube, I'm on Instagram right now. But when I repost this to YouTube, I'm going to post a series of videos underneath, so you can do your own research. Some of these doctors have written books and they talk about studies, so you can go deeper into that, right? I've been doing research on mammograms for years, and I'm not a believer in them. I did a video years ago, over a decade ago, I did a video for women talking about why it's important to massage your breast. And I have a client who, she always says that she feels like I saved her life, because after watching the video about the breast massage and how important it was for women, she started to do that, and she actually found a tumor in her own breast and got treatment and is still here right now, right? So that's one thing. And Ananda Lewis did have a mother who got her mammograms, and she did all the traditional stuff, and she died of breast cancer, right? So there's no guarantee that because you do those things and you go do the traditional treatment that you will survive. That's number one. Number two, cancer being a genetic disease. What that means, people don't understand what genetic disease means. People think a genetic disease means, oh, you got it because your parents had it and now it's in your DNA and it's inevitable. No. A genetic disease means that the genes, sometimes it can be some type of inheritance, but a lot of times the genes are mutated. Genes are turned on and off as well, okay? So genes can be activated, they can be shut down, and they can be mutated. And they can be mutated. There's things called mutagens. Mutagens are chemicals or compounds that mutate your DNA. And that can then code for cancer. And there are carcinogens. Carcinogens mutate your DNA to code for cancer, right? So carcinogens and mutagens can cause that to happen. And so what happens is, in the cell, the gene that tells the genes to stop transcribing it's out of whack. So it just keeps transcribing and hence you have a tumor. It's overgrowth, right? So that's what it means when it's a genetic disease. It doesn't mean that because your mother has it, it's inevitable that you'll have it. It doesn't mean that if nobody in your family had it, that you won't, right? I've done videos. There was an influencer named, I think, Jessica Petaway, that passed away last year from uterine cancer, and I did a video about that. Her stuff was underdiagnosed, and I did a video about that, about how much. And Jessica Petaway was a makeup, like a beauty influencer, but she was always covering her face in makeup. And I wear makeup sometimes, but I don't wear makeup nearly as much as I used to. But even when I did wear makeup more, I still didn't wear it every day, and I wasn't coating my face in it. Makeup is so full of toxic chemicals, okay? So when you add the toxic chemicals in the makeup that some women use every single day, then someone have perms, so they're putting more toxic chemicals in their head. Then a lot of them are spraying perfumes, okay? All of those things are carcinogenic, cancer causing. And when you add carcinogens, the more you add them together, the more powerful they become. So if you just do one of those things, like just wear makeup, but you're not perming your hair, you're not spraying perfume, you might have a better chance. But if you're doing all of those things, it magnifies, okay? And so with Ananda, I saw that she was when she decided to go the natural route, it was very much plant-based. For those of you who follow me, you know that I'm anti-plant-based, okay? Plants have their place, but I don't care what's going on with a person. I never think that the base of your diet should be plants at all. And when it comes to cancer, okay, because first of all, plants are mostly carbohydrates, mostly sugar. Sugar feeds cancer cells. So if somebody has cancer, the last thing you need to be doing is eating sugar and carbohydrates. That is sweet fruit. That is crackers, rice, and bread. Okay, that's all plant foods. They're mostly carbohydrates. They might have negligible protein, negligible fat, but it's mostly carbohydrates, okay? So that feeds the cancer cells. And it's also known now that many scientists say cancer is a metabolic disease. So it's always been described as a genetic disease. Some people say, no, it's not a genetic disease, it's a metabolic disease. Your metabolism is off, and it's from hyperglycemia, like just consuming too much sugar, and it causes you have a metabolic issue that can lead to cancer. Now, one of the things about cancer, vitamin D is super important, okay? Vitamin D is super important for prevention of all cancers, okay? Vitamin D and vitamin A, which work together. And most people are low in vitamin D and vitamin A because they're not eating those foods that are high in vitamin D and A. What foods are those? Liver. Cod liver oil. Everybody should be taking cod liver oil every day. If you're a certain age, I don't care where you came from in the world, if you're a certain age, you would give it cod liver oil every day, okay? So we have liver, we have cod liver oil, we have egg yolks from pastured chickens, like not the commercial food industry, but the chickens that were outside getting the sun and eating their natural diet. We have it in fish eggs, pork fat, okay? But cod liver oil and liver is especially good source, okay? So for someone like Ananda, I definitely would have recommended that she consume vitamin D, high vitamin D and vitamin A foods, which you're not going to get from plants, right? Also, there are anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer fats like EPA and DHA, which is in cod liver oil. A lot of people talk about fish oil. Fish oil is toxic. You do not want to take fish oil. You want to take cod liver oil. Cod liver oil, and I've done videos on that. Cod liver oil is more medicinal. Cod liver oil has vitamin A and D. Fish oil does not. Fish oil is a waste product of the commercial fishing industry. It's complete crap. It's rancid. It's just not good. Okay, you want cod liver oil. Okay, good quality cod liver oil. So I definitely would have had her taking a high dose of that. Of course, cutting out anything that's cancer causing, that means microwaves, that means makeup, that means like perfumes. And I'm not saying that she was doing those things, I'm just saying that's what I would be doing. Then I would have done castor oil packs, okay? Putting a castor oil pack on the chest. Now, if you know what a castor oil pack, and maybe on the liver too, I have a video where I talk about castor oil packs. They're fabrics that you soak, like a flannel or cotton fabric that you soak in cotton, put it over the area, put a heat source, like a hot water bottle, and let it stay there for an hour or so. And it helps to really stimulate your lymph, okay? Sorry. Okay, it helps to really stimulate your lymph and the lymph cleans out the toxins, it gets things moving, okay? So I definitely would have been doing castor oil packs a few times a week, okay? With light breast massage, more of an energetic thing because you don't want to disrupt the tumors and make it worse, right? Also, I would have used cannabis because cannabis has a lot of anti-cancer properties. And how would I use the cannabis? I would ingest it at a high dose, okay? Not just smoking it. Smoking it is fine, but I would be ingesting it. Maybe soaked in coconut oil, okay? Infused into coconut oil or butter, but I would be consuming it in a high dose, not gummies, not candy, not chocolate, and gummies and all these candies, okay? I would put a high dose of cannabis in some brothy soup, okay? Get some quality broth, put it in some brothy soup. Make a meal with some fish and some buttery sauce and saturate it in that, okay? So I would take the healing foods that are high in the vitamin A and vitamin D and the anti-inflammatory fats, and I would really infuse it with a high dose of cannabis. There's a doctor that I'm going to start a podcast soon as I can get up with the technology. But there's a medical doctor who wrote a book on medical cannabis, Dr. Benjamin. Hold on a minute, I'm forgetting his name, because I'm going to have him on my channel soon. But on his in his book, he talks about a cancer patient that he had that got rid of her cancer with a high dose of cannabis. Okay, and it might have been breast cancer. So hold on, I'm looking at this. And I would ingest it, but I would also use it topically. So I would take cannabis-infused castor oil, which I also make cannabis-infused castor oil. Because when I think of medicinal cannabis, what's in the dispensaries is not it. When I think about using cannabis medicinally, there's so much that's not being talked about, said, or even sold in a dispensary. Okay, my idea of medicinal cannabis is not eating a bunch of sugary candy. Okay, because sugar is the last thing you need to eat if you have diabetes, if you have arthritis, if you have cancer. Okay, the last thing you need to eat for anything that's going on with you. Okay, so his name is Dr. Benjamin Kaplan. Yes, the doctor approved cannabis handbook. Okay. I'm going to have him on, but in his book, he talks about a cancer patient that he had and he talks about how high the dose was and the maintenance dose she did after that. And I don't think that patient was trying to even at first shrink the cancer. I think her goal was to deal with the treatment. Because even if you're going to go through chemo and radiation, cannabis can help you get through it. Because chemo and radiation can cause people to not be able to sleep, not be able to eat, skin burns and stuff like that. So cannabis can be used to help with all those issues. When people go through chemo and radiation, a lot of times they get put on a bunch of medications to go to sleep, for nausea, for pain, when cannabis can help all of those things. Okay? So I would have ingested a high dose of cannabis with medicinal foods, which is not a plant-based diet, because the other issue with plant-based diets is that plants are high in oxalates. Okay, I did a video maybe last year or 2 years ago called Are Plants Trying to Kill You? And I'll put on YouTube, when I repost this video on YouTube, I'll put some of those videos below. On YouTube so you can dig deeper into it. There's a woman named Sally, hold on a minute, what is the name of that book? Hold on. Sally Norton. She's a scientist, nutritionist. She wrote a book called Toxic Foods, I think is what it's called. Hold on, I just want to tell you. I have it posted on my Instagram page. I just want to get the right. Hold on. Yeah, it's called Toxic Superfoods. Okay, if you're on my Instagram, you'll see it posted. Toxic Superfoods: How Oxalate Overload is Making You Sick and How to Get Better. Okay. And Sally K. Norton. So plants have a lot of toxins, okay? And oxalates are a toxin that I've always known about, but they accumulate in breast tissue. When women who have breast cancer usually have high oxalates in their breast tissue, in the tumor. So there's a lot of studies that show a correlation between high oxalates and breast cancer. And so the last thing I would do if I had breast cancer was to eat a plant-based diet and to say, oh, I'm just going to drink juices and eat plants. Absolutely not. I would be eating lots of medicinal broths, okay? That is also, because broth is also going to coat your gut and heal your immune system. That's infused with medicinal herbs, cannabis being one of them. I would probably add some others as well. I would consume lots of butter, lots of liver, lots of cod liver oil. I would be doing castor oil packs, preferably with cannabis-infused castor oil. I would then massage my breast after that with some type of cannabis-infused oil. So I would be dousing my breast in cannabis, and I would also be consuming it at a high dose. I would definitely be avoiding juices and sugars and stuff like that. Now, whether or not somebody decides to go on with the chemo and radiation, that can be a hard thing, because there are people who decide not to do that and they go the natural route and they do get rid of the cancer. There's people who decide to do all the traditional stuff and they die. And as a practitioner who works with people, it's hard because, I myself have had clients with cancer, various kinds of cancer. And people are at different stages. Some people find out they have cancer and they're in a late stage of an aggressive cancer. Some people's cancer, they're in the early stage and the cancer is not that aggressive. So there's a lot of people who get cancer treatment that didn't need that aggressive cancer treatment, and it can make it worse, right? So there's a lot of things to consider. But if somebody goes the natural route, you have to really know what you're doing. And I find that a lot of people who say they're going to do a natural route, and they might be following Sebi, which I've said before, Sebi's a fraud. I did a video about him years ago. I stand 10 toes down. I'm going to have to do an updated video on that, because this video I did probably like 6 years ago now. But Sebi is a fraud, okay? That man never talked about exercise. That man never talked about microbiomes and the importance of your microbiome. That man never talked about real gut health. He never talked about the importance of bone broth. Okay? Never talked about any of that. He looked like he couldn't even do a push-up. His skin wasn't radiant. If you're healthy, you should have a glow. Sebi never glowed. He looked ashy and dried out from the inside out. He looked incredibly weak and frail. Okay? There are people older than him that are stronger than that. So, and then if you're a true herbalist, you don't sell one-size-fits-all pills to everybody. If you're a true herbalist, you teach people about herbs, how to cultivate them, how to find them, how to pick them, or what store to go buy from. Because you can buy these herbs at the store. You don't need to pay somebody $2,000 for some one-size-fits-all pills. And then when you're using herbs, depending on what you're using it for, it may be better to ingest it, to smoke it, to bathe with it, to scrub with it, to drink it as a tea. It depends, or to steam with it. It depends on what you're using it for, right? So this whole one-size-fits-all, take these herbal pills that Sebi sold, totally fraudulent. But a lot of people go on this, I need to go on like a Sebi diet. No, that man didn't live that long himself, okay? So that's not it. So I feel like if people go a natural route, you really have to know what you're doing and really embrace traditional foods. And no traditional culture was on a vegan diet, okay? There's a lot of medicinal animal foods. And there's something called complementary nutrition, that if somebody does decide to take the medications, doing complementary, what your diet is like, using the cannabis medicine in conjunction with, can help you be able to endure the chemotherapy and radiation, and also counteract the effects. Cannabis is very anti-cancer, okay? So when I work with clients that have been diagnosed with cancer, I don't ever want to tell somebody what they should do. I'm here to offer support. And everybody has, not just support, sorry. I'm here to offer, when I say support, I mean educational support about protocols and routes they can take, like real ones. Because doctors aren't going to sit down with you and tell you that. They don't know. They know the traditional route. And there's a lot of holistic practitioners out here who don't really have training in anything. Everybody's a health coach. Everybody's a holistic something, but what is your training? So that's the reason why I take what I do very seriously, and I don't respect people like Sebi who are frauding people. People are coming to you with their health and they really want to be healthier, and you're selling them bullshit to make money. I'm not with that. I don't respect people like that, because I know it's confusing out here and you're playing people's lives, okay? So with Ananda, I think it's unfortunate. I remember listening to her protocol and not thinking her protocol was good. I remember trying to find everything I could about her diet and trying to dig into and hear what she was saying. And I just didn't think it was good. And I remember thinking, I think the cancer is going to get worse. And then maybe like a few months ago, I saw some videos where I felt like she said the tumor shrunk or she went into remission or something. I thought I had seen her say that there was some type of improvement. And I was actually shocked by that because I felt like the protocol that she discussed to me was not anti-breast cancer protocol. I saw it getting worse. So I was surprised, like, oh, okay, it got better, because you never know. Sometimes, you know, the universe works in mysterious ways, and there's many protocols you can take. I just didn't think that what she was doing made sense. And so I just want to say, like, you know, may she rest in peace. I do want to say that she wasn't wrong about mammograms. I will post several studies and stuff about it underneath on my YouTube page. So if you're on Instagram and you want that stuff, find me on YouTube at The Body Scientist 81, and you will find all of that on there. I'll try to post some things on my Instagram page as well. Or you can hit my inbox if you want those, some stuff too. But mammograms, you know, do your own research. They actually are cancer causing. They can make cancer worse. And there are many people who have cured their cancer naturally. And they're, you know, I just don't think a plant-based protocol is ever the answer for cancer. And I personally know a few people who died too young from cancer who are on plant-based diets. And they really believed that was going to help them. And they were out of here quick. Okay? And that, again, not to say that there's not people who eat animal-based food that don't die from cancer too. Like, it's either one. It just depends on what you're eating. A lot of people, whether they're plant-based or not, are eating crappy food. They're using microwaves. Microwaves are incredibly cancer-causing. They're dousing themselves in chemicals every day. You know? So it's a number of things. But I'm going to leave that here. If you guys have more questions, I probably was going to go more in depth in it in my subscriptions. But if there's something you want me to go more in depth with, let me know. I'll do that on my subscription side. I just had to make this video. I've been really busy, but it's been on my mind. And I wanted to talk about Ananda before, but who wants to do that while somebody's going through something? But I just wanted to share my 2 cents since I saw this happen and people were asking me. And I think I said everything I want to say. And massage your breast, women. Ladies, massage your breasts. Like, you know, be connected. Pay attention to what's going on in your body. Have practices, you know, breast massage. Send love to yourself. Do vaginal steams. Do castor oil packs if you need to. Understand that cannabis is super anti-cancerous. Okay? And I'm always here to work with clients. For anybody who has whatever's going on with your body, you need help. You want some nutritional counseling, some health counseling, some cannabis medicine counseling, some exercise counseling and training. All of that is me. So if you need help, want help, feel free to email me at thebodyscientist81@gmail.com or hit me on Instagram and we can discuss options. But if you learned something from this, please like it, please share it. If you have any 2 cents you want to share, please do. And I hope you guys have a good day and take care, okay? Bye.